biology, stem cell biology, and for high-end electron microscopy. The nascent agri-biotech cluster in Mohali will be scaled up to include plant generic and plantotype platforms. Secondary agriculture will be a major thrust in Mohali through collaborations in the public-private partnership. In addition, 2 new clusters in Pune and Kolkata will be established. Global partnerships will be developed under India's leadership to transform Delhi component of International Center of Generic Engineering and Biotechnology into world leader of life sciences and biotechnology. Several major space missions are planned for 2014-15, which include the experimental flight of India's future high-capacity launcher GSLV Mk3, 1 commercial launch of PSLY, and 2 more navigational satellites. Our Mars orbiter spacecraft is in its 300-day-long voyage to planet Mars, along with the designated heliocentric trajectory. Mars orbiter spacecraft is expected to be orbiting around Mars on September 24, 2014. Sports are an integral part of the growing up personality development. Unfortunately, in our country, sports have not become mainstream till date. The government will set up national sports academies for major gains in different parts of India to mainstream sports. Academic and international level facilities for training of accomplished athletes and for nourishing the best talent in the country at junior and sub-junior level will also be set up for shooting, archery, boxing, wrestling, weightlifting and various track and field events. Jammu and Kashmir has a lot of sporting talent which is not finding expression due to inadequate sports facilities. I propose to provide a special sum of rupees 200 crores for upgrading the indoor and outdoor stadiums to international levels, which are in both Jammu and in the Kashmir Valley. I propose to set up a sports university in Manipur. Manipur has done exceptionally well in sports. For this, I am providing a sum of rupees 100 crores in the current financial year. Unique sports traditions have developed in the Himalayan region in the countries and the states that are a part of it. To promote this, India will start an annual event to promote these games and would invite countries like Nepal and Bhutan also to participate, in addition to Indian states like Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim and the northeastern states. I am also setting aside a sum of rupees 100 crores for the training of our sports women and men for the forthcoming Asian and Commonwealth Games. Employment exchanges will transform into career centers and in addition for providing information about job availability. Those centers will also extend counseling facilities to the youth for selecting jobs best suited for their ability and aptitude. I have set aside a sum of rupees 100 crores for this purpose. Youth of India are pragmatic and looking forward and wish to be leaders in all other fields. In order to promote leadership skills, I propose to set up a Young Leaders program with an initial allocation of rupees 100 crores. Displaced Kashmiri migrants. Displaced Kashmiri migrants require our special support for rehabilitation. For this, I intend to provide a sum of rupees 500 crores in the current financial year. There is a need to increase the capacity in the country for Himalayan studies. I propose to set up a national center for Himalayan studies in Uttarakhand with an initial outlay of rupees 100 crores. It is also proposed to set up a National Academy for Customs and Excise at Hindupur in Andhra Pradesh. Northeastern region has tremendous potential for development of organic farming, which is a growing global demand for organic food. People living in northeastern states can reap the harvest for development of commercial organic farming. To this facility, I propose to provide a sum of rupees 100 crores for this purpose in the present financial year. Northeastern region has suffered from underdevelopment with a sense of isolation due to lack of proper connectivity. Development of rail systems is urgently required to bridge this gap. I intend to expedite the development of rail connectivity in the region, and for this purpose, I have set aside an additional sum of rupees 1,000 crores over and above what is provided in the interim budget. Television is an important tool of expression of our cultural identities and for creating greater awareness of the richness of the diversity of our country. To provide a strong platform to rich cultural and linguistic identity of the Northeast, a new 24/7 channel called Arun Prabha will be launched. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. My government is committed to addressing the issues relating to the development of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana in the AP Reorganization Act. Provisions have been made by various ministries and departments to fulfill all the obligations of the union government to help both the states. NCT Delhi faces a large in-migration every year. Delhi is plagued by frequent transmission-related problems and issues of water distribution and supply. In order to overcome this and make Delhi into a world-class city, I have proposed to provide rupees 200 crores for power reforms and rupees 500 crores for water reforms in Delhi. In addition, to solve the long-term water supply issues of the capital region, construction of a long-pending Renuka Dam would be undertaken with priority. I have provided an initial sum of 50 crores for this. Andaman and Nicobar Islands are a part of our rich cultural heritage. In order to tide over the communication-related problems, I propose to allocate rupees 150 crores for this purpose. I also propose to provide rupees 188 crores to Puducherry for making its commitments for disaster preparations. Budget estimates. I now turn to the budget estimates of the main budget 2014-15. We have inherited a legacy wherein continuation of financial consolidation cannot be compromised while providing for essential items. However, we have a mandate to fulfill for the people. Keeping this in mind, we have prepared the estimates of expenditure and receipts for the financial year 2014-15. Non-plan expenditure estimates for the financial year are rupees 12,19,892 crores. While preparing non-plan estimates, due care has been taken to fully provide for all the essential activities. Additional amounts have been provided for fertilizer subsidy and capital expenditure of the armed forces. While preparing estimates of capital expenditure, attention was paid to the absorptive capacity of the department and on achieving greater outcome of the financial sector outlay. In 2013-14, planned funds to the tune of rupees 4,53,085 crores could be utilized. Plan allocation of rupees 5,75,000 crores in the main budget of 2014-15 marks an increase of 26.9% over the actuals of 13-14 and has been targeted towards agriculture, capacity creation in health and education, rural roads, national highways, infrastructure and railway network expansion, clean energy initiatives, development of water resources and river conservation plans. Further, through convergence of programs, greater impact from money spent will be achieved. Total expenditure estimates thus stand at rupees 17,94,892 crores. To finance this expenditure, it is estimated that the gross tax receipts will be rupees 13,64,524 crores. After devolving the share of the states, the centre will have rupees 9,77,258 crores. Non-tax revenues in the current financial year will be rupees 2,12,505 crores, and the capital receipt other than borrowing will be rupees 73,952 crores. With the above estimates, the fiscal deficit of 4.5% of GDP and a revenue deficit will be rupees 2.9% of the GDP. Honourable members will recall that it was the initiative of the NDA government under Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee where we had made it compulsory that 10% allocation in the planned funds for the northeastern regions had been made, non-lapsable in nature. From the current budget, we have introduced a statement which will separately show the plan allocation for northeastern regions. In financial year 2014-15, an allocation of rupees 53,706 crores has been made for the northeastern region. We have further made an allocation of rupees 98,030 crores for women and 81,075 crores for child welfare. Madam Speaker, I shall now present my tax proposals. Taxation are important for every economy. To fund government expenditure on security and welfare of people, the interim budget 2014-15, my predecessors had set a tax revenue collection target of direct taxes as well as indirect taxes, which appear to be ambitious. I propose to retain these targets. It shall be my endeavour to achieve the same. The impact of tax changes now have of course been factored in the budget estimates of 2014-15. While preparing the tax proposals, I had to encounter challenge of an extremely limited fiscal space. Nonetheless, I propose to introduce measures to revive the economy, to promote investment in manufacturing sector, rationalize tax provisions so that I can reduce litigation, as also to address the problem of inverted duty structures in certain areas. I propose to give some relief to the individual taxpayers and certain sectors of the economy. Direct taxes. Let me begin with the direct taxes. Madam Speaker, I do not propose to make any changes in the tax rate. However, with a view to provide small and marginal taxpayers and relief to small and marginal taxpayers and senior citizens, I propose to increase the personal income tax exemption limit by rupees 50,000, that is from rupees 2 lakhs to rupees 2.5 lakhs, in the case of all individual taxpayers who are below the age of 60 years. Similarly, I also propose to raise the exemption limit from rupees 2.5 lakhs to rupees 3 lakhs in the case of senior citizens. I do not propose to make any change in the rate of surcharge either for corporates or individuals, HUFs or firms. The education cess for all taxpayers will continue at 3%. In the year 2012-13, the gross domestic savings were 30.1% of the GDP, as compared to 33.7% in the year 2009-10. Increase in savings and their productive use leads to higher economic growth. The households are the main contributors to the savings. Therefore, to encourage domestic investments in long-term savings, I propose to increase the investment limit under Section 80C to all income taxpayers from rupees 1 lakh to rupees 1.5 lakhs. Housing continues to be an area of concern for the middle and the lower class due to high cost of financing. Therefore, to reduce the burden, I propose to increase the deduction limit on account of interest on loans in respect of self-occupied property from rupees 1.5 lakh to rupees 2 lakhs. Infrastructure and construction sectors have a significant role in the economy. Growth in these sectors is necessary to revive the economy and generate jobs for millions of our young boys and girls. As stated earlier, with a view to attract large-scale investment in these sectors, I have provided a conducive tax regime for infrastructure investment trusts and real estate investment trusts to be set up in accordance with regulations of the Securities and Exchange Board of India. The manufacturing sector is of paramount importance to our economy. This sector has a multiplier effect on creation of jobs. Last year, an incentive in form of investment allowance to manufacturing companies which invest more than 100 crores in plant and machinery during the year 1st April 2013 to 31st March 2015 was announced. Considering the need to incentivize smaller entrepreneurs, I propose to provide an investment allowance at the rate of 15% to a manufacturing company which invests more than 25 crores in any year in plant and machinery. This benefit will be available for 3 years, that is investment up to 31/3/2017. The scheme announced last year will continue to operate in parallel till 31/3/2015. I also propose to extend the investment-linked deduction to 2 sectors, namely slurry pipes for transportation of iron ore and semiconductor wafer fabrication manufacturing units. This will boost investment in these 2 sectors. Supply of power continues to be a major area of concern for the country. Therefore, instead of the annual extensions, I propose to extend the 10-year tax holiday to undertakings which begin generation, distribution and transmission of power by 31/3/2017. The stability of our policy will help investors to plan their investments better. Foreign portfolio investors who have invested more than 8 lakh crores, that is about $130 billion in India. One of their concern is uncertainty of taxation on account of characterization of their income. Moreover, the fund managers of these foreign investors remain outside India under the apprehension of their presence in India may have adverse tax consequences. With a view to put an end to this uncertainty and to encourage these fund managers to shift to India, I propose to provide that income arising out of portfolio investors with transactions in securities will be treated as capital gains. The concessional rate of tax of 15% on dividend received by Indian companies from foreign subsidies has resulted in enhanced repatriation of funds from abroad. I propose to continue the concessional rate of 15% foreign dividends without any sunset date. This will ensure stability of taxation policy. In order to augment long-term foreign borrowings for Indian companies, I propose to extend the eligible dates of borrowings in foreign currency from 31/6/2016 to 30th June 2017. From 30th June 16 to 17 for a concessional rate of 5% on interest payments. I also propose to extend this tax incentive to all types of bonds instead of only infrastructure bonds. I hope this measure will enable the companies to step up their investments in India. In order to reduce litigation on transfer pricing issues, I propose to make certain changes in transfer pricing regulations. An advanced pricing agreement scheme was introduced in the year 2012. It has received a good response. I propose to strengthen the tax administration set up by the APA to expedite the disposal of applications. Further, I propose to introduce a rollback provision of the APA scheme so that the APA entered into for a future transaction may also be applied to international transactions undertaken in the previous 4 years to specified circumstances. In order to align transfer pricing regulations in India with the best available practices, I propose to introduce range concept for determination of arm's length price. However, the arithmetic mean concept will continue to apply where the number comparable is inadequate. The relevant data under analysis and appropriate rules will be prescribed. As per the existing provisions of the transfer pricing regulations, only 1 year data is allowed to be used for comparable analysis with some exception. I propose to amend this regulation to allow use of multiple year data. Necessary legislative amendments to give effect to the above proposals, including those relating to Authority for Advance Ruling, Income Tax Settlement Commission, will be moved in the current session of Parliament. In the case of mutual funds, other equities-oriented funds, the capital gains arising out of transfer of units held for more than a year is taxed at a concessional rate of 10%, whereas direct investments in banks and other debt instruments attract a higher rate of tax. This allows tax arbitrage opportunities. This arbitrage has hardly benefited retail investors as their percentage is very small amongst the mutual fund investors. With a view to remove this tax arbitrage, I propose to increase the rate of tax for long-term capital gains from 10% to 20% on transfer of units of such funds. I propose to increase the period of holding in respect of such units from 12 months to 36 months for this purpose. In the year 2003, a tax liability on income by way of dividend was shifted from the shareholder to the company. The shareholder was required to pay tax on gross dividends, but now the company pays tax on dividend amount net of taxes. Similarly, in the case of mutual fund, income distribution tax is paid on the income distributed net of taxes. I propose to remove this anomaly both in the case of the company and the mutual fund. Currently, where the assessee fails to deduct and pay tax on specified payments to residents, 100% of such payments are not allowed as deduction while computing this income. This has caused undue hardship to taxpayers, particularly where the rate of tax is only 1 to 10%. I propose to provide that instead of 100%, only 30% of such payments will be disallowed. The Direct Tax Code 2010 has lapsed with the dissolution of the 15th Lok Sabha. Having considered the report of the Standing Committee and the views expressed by the stakeholders, my predecessor had placed a revised code in public domain in 2014. The government shall consider all comments received from stakeholders on the revised code. The government will also review the DTC in its present take and take a view in the whole matter. Income Tax Department is expected to function not only as an enforcement agency but also as a facilitator. A number of Aikar Seva Kendra have been opened in different parts of the country. I propose to extend this facility by opening 60 more such Seva Kendras along with the current financial year to promote excellence in service delivery. The focus of any tax administration is to broaden the tax base. Our policy thrust is to adopt a non-intrusive method to achieve this object. In this direction, I propose to make a greater use of information technology techniques. The net effect of the direct tax proposals is a revenue loss of rupees 22,200 crores. Indirect taxes. I now turn to indirect taxes and shall begin with custom duties. Manufacturing sector is under a stress due to the variety of reasons. To boost the domestic manufacturing sector and also to address the issue of inverted duties, I propose to reduce the basic customs duty on fatty acid crude palm styrene RBD and other palm styrenes specified industrial grade crude oils from 7.5% to nil for manufacture of soaps and oleochemicals. Crude glycerine from 12.5% to 7.5% and crude glycerine used in manufacture of soaps from 12.5% to nil. Steel grade limestone and steel grade dolomite from 5% to 2.5%. Battery waste and battery scrap from 10% to 5%. Coal tar pitch from 10% to 5%. Specified inputs for manufacture of spandex yarn from 5% to nil. In order to encourage new investment and capacity additions in chemicals and petrochemical sectors, I propose to reduce basic custom duty on reformate from 10% to 2.5%, on ethane, propane, ethylene, propylene, butadiene and orthoxylene from 5% to 2.5%, on methyl alcohol and denatured ethyl alcohol from 7.5% to 5%, and in crude naphthalene from 10% to 5%. The demand of the electronics is growing very fast. To boost domestic production and reduce our dependence on imports, I intend to take the following steps. Impose basic custom duty of 10% on specified telecommunication products that are outside the purview of the Information Technology Agreement. Exempt all inputs, components used in the manufacture of personal computers from 4% special additional duty. Impose educational cess on imported electronic products to provide parity between domestically produced goods and imported goods. Exempt 4% SAD on PVC and ribbon used for manufacture of smart cards. Cathode rays TVs are used by the weaker sections who cannot afford to buy more expensive flat panel TVs. I propose to exempt color picture tubes from basic custom duty to make cathode rays TVs cheaper. The duty concession will help to revive the manufacturing of the TVs in the SME sector and create employment opportunity. At the same time, to encourage production of LCDs, LEDs and TVs below 19 inches in India, I propose to reduce the basic custom duty on LCD, LED panels below 19 inches and 10% to nil. Further, to encourage manufacture of LCDs, LED panels, I propose to exempt them from basic custom duty specified inputs in their manufacture. The domestic stainless steel industry is presently suffering from severe underutilization of capacity. To give an impetus to stainless steel industry, I propose to increase the basic customs duty on imported flat rolled products of stainless steel from 5% to 7.5%. We need to maximize our utilization of solar power. The existing duty structure incentivizes imports rather than domestic manufacturing on solar photovoltaic cells and modules. Therefore, I propose to exempt from basic custom duty specified inputs to use in the manufacture of EVA sheets and black sheets, flat copper wires and manufacture of PV ribbons. A concessional basic custom duty of 5% is also being extended to machinery equipment required for setting up of project for solar energy production. To promote wind energy, I propose to reduce basic custom duty from 10% to 5% on forged steel rings used in manufacturing bearings of wind-operated electricity generators. Also, I propose to exempt the SAD of 4% on parts of raw materials required for manufacture of wind-operated generators. Further, I propose to prescribe a concessional basic custom duty of 5% on machinery and equipment required for setting up of compressed biogas plants. I have only highlighted some of the proposals in Budget 2014-15. I am sure these measures would incentivize value, generic income and create more jobs. I have also undertaken several tax rationalization measures. At present, coal attracts a custom duty at different rates. I propose to rationalize these duty structures on all non-agglomerated coal at 2.5% of basic custom duty and 2% CVD. Henceforth, anthracite coal, bituminous coal, coking coal, steam coal and other coal will attract the same duty. This will eliminate all assessment disputes and transactional costs associated with testing of various parameters of coal. Metallurgical coke is manufactured out of coking coal. The basic custom duty on metallurgical coke is being increased from nil to 2.5% in line with the duty of coking coal. Ships imported for breaking up attract basic custom duty at 5%. As against this, melting scrap of iron or steel attracts a basic custom duty of 2.5%. I propose to rationalize the duty on ship-breaking scrap and melting scrap of iron and steel by reducing the basic custom duty on ship imported for breaking up from 5% to 2.5%. Semi-processed, half-cut or broken diamonds present exempted from basic custom duty. As against this, cut and polished diamonds and colored gemstones attract basic custom duty of 2%. To prevent misuse and avoid assessment disputes, the basic custom duty on semi-processed, half-cut, broken diamonds, cut and polished diamonds and colored gemstones is being rationalized at 2.5%. To encourage exports, forms of precious or semi-precious stones are being fully exempted from basic custom duty. To encourage exports of ready-made garments, I propose to increase the base duty-free entitlement of import of trimmings, embellishments and other items from 3% to 5% of their value of their exports. Considering the need to conserve our national resources, I propose to increase the export duty on bauxite from 10% to 20%. The free baggage allowance under baggage rules, which was last revised in 2012, as a measure of passenger facilitation, I propose to increase the baggage fare from rupees 35,000 to rupees 45,000. I shall now deal with the excise duties. To provide the fillip to capital goods, consumable durables and automatic sectors and give our commitment to revive economic growth, I have already extended the excise duty concessions beyond 30th June 2014 for a period of 6 months up to 31st December 2014. We expect the industry to show positive results in the coming months. In continuation of this, I have made more proposals to boost domestic production. Minimization of harvest and poor harvest losses of agricultural produces is an important measure for tackling food inflation and ensuring food security. The losses of fruits, vegetables are mainly due to adequate processing capacity. To incentivize expansion of processing capacity, I propose to reduce the excise duty on specified food processing and packaging machinery from 10% to 6%. As a measure of relief to the footwear industry, most of which are SMEs, I propose to reduce excise duties from 12% to 6% on footwear of retail piece exceeding 500 pairs, but not exceeding rupees 500 per pair, but not exceeding rupees 1,000 per pair. Footwear of retail price up to rupees 500 per pair will continue to remain exempted. I propose to withdraw the concessional excise duty, 2% without Senvet benefit and 6% with Senvet benefit on smart cards, with a levy of uniform excise duty at 12%. Consequently, import will attract a higher CVD and will help domestic industry. To develop renewable sources of energy, I propose to exempt from excise duty EVA sheets and solar black sheets with specified inputs used in manufacture, solar tempered glass sheets in manufacture of solar photovoltaic cells and durables, flat copper wires for manufacture of PV ribbons for use in solar cells and modules, machinery and equipment required for setting up of a project of solar energy production, forged rings used in the manufacture of bearings for wind-operated generators, machinery and equipment required for setting up of compressed biogas plants. To set at rest ongoing disputes, I propose to exempt PSF and PFY manufactured from plastic waste and scrap, including PET bottles, from excise duty with effect from 29th June 2010 to 7th May 2012. I propose to levy prospectively a nominal duty of 5% without Senvat to benefit 6% with Senvat benefit on such PSY and PFY. To encourage sports, I propose to prescribe a concessional excise duty of 2% without Senvat benefit and 6% with Senvat benefit on sports gloves. While undertaking these measures, I need to mobilize some resources. Although I propose to increase the specific excise duties on cigarettes in a range of 11% to 72%. Increases are proposed on cigars, cheroots and cigarillos. Likewise, excise duty is being increased from 12% to 16% on pan masala and 50% to 55% on unmanufactured tobacco, and from 60% to 70% on gutka and chewing tobacco. I also propose to levy an additional duty of excise of 5% on aerated waters containing added sugar. These are healthy measures, and I hope everyone would welcome them from the point of view of human health. Clean energy cess is presently levied on coal, peat and lignite for the purposes of financing and promoting clean energy initiatives and funding research in area of clean energy. I propose to expand the scope of purposes of levying the said cess, including financing and promoting clean environment initiatives for funding research in the area of clean environment. To finance these additional initiatives, I propose to increase the clean energy cess from rupees 50 per ton to rupees 100 per ton. I shall now deal with service tax. In recent times, amongst indirect taxes, service tax has shown the highest rate of growth. Since my overall objective is to prepare that indirect tax regime for a smooth transition to goods and services, changes have been kept minimal at this stage. The twin object of this sector of indirect taxes are to widen the tax base and enhance compliance. My proposal in relation to service tax are in line with these objectives. To broaden the tax base in services tax, it is necessary to prune the negative list and exemptions to the extent possible. Accordingly, the negative list has been reviewed, and service tax leviable currently on sale and space of time for advertisements in the broadcast media is being extended to cover such sales on other segments like online and mobile advertising. Sale of space for advertisements on print media would remain excluded from service tax. Similarly, tax is proposed on service provided by radio taxis to place them at par with rent-a-cab service. These new levies will come into effect from the date notified after the passing of the finance bill. In furtherance of the effort to broaden the tax base, certain exemptions are being withdrawn, including those extended to services by air-conditioned contract carriages, technical testing of newly developed drugs on human participants. To spur growth in certain sectors, I have tried to correct the bottlenecks which have been brought to my notice. Indian ship industry has been representing that they are losing business in the tough global scenario due to provision in the place of provision of services rules, which are now being addressed through an amendment. Similarly, to encourage growth in the transportation of goods through coastal vessels, and tax incident is being reduced. In response to the request of the tourism sector, services provided by the Indian tour operators to foreign tourists in relation to tour wholly outside India is being taken out of the tax deck. A long-standing demand of this sector has been to allow Senvet credit for services of rent-a-cab and tour operators. I now propose to allow credit in the same line of business. I had accepted a few requests for exemptions from social sector, since exemptions reduce distortions would be comparatively less in such sectors. At the request of Ministry of Agriculture, service tax on loading, unloading, storage, warehousing, transportation of cotton, whether jind or bale, is being exempted to bring it on par with certain other agricultural products. Services provided under the Employees State Insurance Corporation for the period from 1st July 2012 is being exempted. For the benefit of the common man, the exemptions presently available for specified micro insurance schemes are being expanded to cover all life micro insurance schemes where sums assured do not exceed more than 50,000 per life insured. Since taxes should not come in the way of safe disposal of medical and critical waste, services provided by common biomedical waste treatment facilities are being exempted. Certain changes are also proposed for bringing about a greater clarity for reducing litigation regarding the scope of exemption. These include functions ordinarily entrusted to a municipality and services in relation to education. There are few more decisions which entail small gains and loss of revenue. Certain amendments are being proposed to the Customs Central Excise Acts and in the Finance Act 1994 relating to service tax. These changes are reflected in the budget documents. My tax proposals from indirect taxes size are estimated to yield rupees 7,525 crores additionally. I have some more proposals which are in the nature of facilitating trade and resolving dispute. I shall only highlight a few. Faster clearance of import and export cargo reduces transaction costs and improves business competitiveness. To achieve this object, measures are being initiated to extend the existing 24/7 custom facility to 13 more airports in respect of all export goods and to 14 more seaports in respect of specified import and export. It is also proposed to implement the Indian Customs Single Window project to facilitate trade. Under this, importers and exporters would lodge their clearances documents at a simple point only. Required permissions, if any, from other regulatory agencies would be obtained online without the trader having to approach these agencies. This would introduce interface with governmental agencies, dwell time and cost of doing business. The scheme of advance ruling in indirect tax is being expanded to cover resident private companies. This will allow companies to seek advance rulings in respect of new activities being proposed to be undertaken. The scope of the Settlement Commission is being enlarged to facilitate quick dispute proposal. To expedite these processes and dispose of appeals, amendments have been proposed to the Customs Central Excise Act and with a view of freeing appellate authorities from hearing stay applications and take up regular appeals for final disposal. Madam Speaker, with these words, I commend the bill to this House for a vote.
Item number 2. Item number 2.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on the table.
Yes. No, nothing. Yes. Nothing. Yes. You can speak on this. Yes. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I wish to lay on the table the following statement under the Section 3(1) of the Fiscal Responsibilities and Budget Management Act 2003. Microeconomics Framework Statement, Medium Policy Fiscal Policy Statement, and Fiscal Policy Strategy Statement.
Yes. Now bill to be introduced.
Madam Speaker, I wish to move for leave to introduce the Finance Bill 2014.
The question is that the leave to be granted to introduce finance bill. Those in favor may say aye. Those against may say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The leave is granted.
Madam, I wish to introduce the bill. Very good.
The House stands adjourned to meet again tomorrow, the 11th July 2014 at 11 a.m. Thank you.